They say the unseen world watches us more closely than we watch it. Yasin never believed that, not until the night his own voice started speaking words he never learned. In languages that belong to something else. This isn't folklore. This is what happens when faith becomes a formality and something ancient decides to fill the silence. Yasin was a practical man. He worked in accounting, paid his bills on time, and prayed when he remembered to. The stories his grandmother told about jinn and black magic, he filed them away as superstition. Old people's fears, village tales that had no place in his modern life. He'd scroll through his phone until his eyes burned, fall asleep without his ad car, and wake up thinking he was safe because nothing bad had happened yet. He didn't understand that some invitations are sent in silence, and some doors open without you ever turning the knob. The first night, Layla woke to the sound of recitation. Deep, resonant, beautiful even. She smiled in the dark, thinking her husband had finally reconnected with the Quran. Then she realized his eyes were open, wide open, staring at nothing. His lips moved in perfect rhythm. But the Arabic was wrong. It sounded like Quranic verses played backward, twisted into something that made her skin crawl. She touched his shoulder. He turned his head slowly, and in a voice that wasn't his said, "You weren't supposed to wake up." She screamed. He blinked and sat up confused, asking why she was crying. When she told him what happened, he laughed nervously and blamed it on stress. But she saw the flicker of fear in his eyes. The disturbances escalated. Yasin would wake at exactly 3:17 every morning, drenched in sweat, heart hammering. Layla began finding things move. The Quran on the floor. The prayer rug folded in corners they never used. Once, every cabinet door was open, perfectly aligned, as if something had been searching. When Layla played him the recording of his sleep whispers, his face went pale, his own voice saying the agreement was made before he was born. He started losing time. He'd be reading and suddenly find himself standing in the hallway. Layla found him in the basement at 2 in the morning, sitting cross-legged facing the wall, perfectly still. The snow came next. Not rot or mold. Something mineral, ancient, like dust from a grave mixed with burnt hair. Thick and choking, then vanishing, always at night, always when Yasin was alone. He spoke to Imam Rashid after Maghrib, keeping his voice low. Can exhaustion cause hallucinations? The Imam studied him. Are you seeing things or is something seeing you? Yasin explained everything. The Imam came with another sheet the next evening. They sat and began reciting. 20 minutes in, the air thickened. A tapping started in the ceiling, rhythmic and deliberate. The Imam stopped. When did you last check your attic? Yasin admitted never. Their flashlights cut through the dark, then stopped on something in the corner. A wooden box, old, covered in wax, symbols carved into the lid, Arabic letters in broken patterns. The Imam knelt and recited. The box vibrated, rattling against the floor. Not here, the Imam said, not with your family below. He took it and told them to recite Surah al-Baqarah. But sleep didn't come. The children cried. Every recitation brought creaking from the walls. 2 days later, the Imam returned looking worn. There were names inside, written on parchment, tied with hair, buried in soil. Your uncle practiced something forbidden. He made agreements with things that don't forget. When he died, the contract transferred to you. The jinn he enslaved is still here. She thinks she owns you. That night, Yasin dreamed of his childhood friend Kareem who drowned. Kareem walked from the water, smiling. You always could see us. She's been with you since you were a boy. She watched you grow. She watched you forget. Now she wants you to remember. His eyes turned black. Don't wake up, he whispered. Yasin gasped awake. His reflection in the mirror smiled a second too late. Yasin begged for Ruqya. 3 sheikhs came at dusk. They prepared a room with Zamzam water and Quran recitation. Yasin sat trembling. They began? At first, just heat in his chest, then pressure. His hands curled, his breathing quickened, a voice came out low and fractured. He promised me to her. Lela covered her mouth. Yanan recited louder. Yasin convulsed. He screamed, then collapsed. Hours later he woke. Aching. She's gone, Yanan said. Your uncle bound her using forbidden methods. She was enslaved, trapped between worlds. When he died, the binding searched for you. She didn't want to hurt you. She wanted to keep you. You were the continuation of a pact she never agreed to. Months have passed. The house is quiet. Yasin prays 5 times daily. The Quran plays constantly. But sometimes he still feels it. A presence, distant, watching. The Jinn don't forget those who see them, but they flee from those who remember. Alamor, Yasin holds his prayers like a lifeline. The unseen is not a myth, it's a test, and faith is the only shield.